When we came to the African Union headquarters again, the two presidents of us, the President of the Republic of Djibouti and myself, again we were blocked to enter the African Union headquarters. A soldiers with a gun stood in front of us, denied an access to this facility. This is the behavior that we are seeing. And I heard that it was not me, other heads of states also were there, who have experienced similar behavior. Actions of Ethiopia as of today is to annex part of Somalia to Ethiopia and to disrespect the African Union Summit separatists. We do not deserve that treatment from the country that hosts the African Union. As I said, I repeat again, nice words will never help Africa as a continent and as an individual country. The behavior of Ethiopia is not an acceptable one, that it's compatible with the 21st century. And that war is with Al-Shabaab. No other war we have or we are intending to have, unless, unfortunately, we are compelled to do so. This morning, when I prepared myself to come and attend the closed session of the summit, the Ethiopian security has blocked my way. They refused me to come out of the hotel and go on with my cars and entourage to come to the sea.
A warm welcome to Acacia TV. It's your host, Ivan Mugalia, and today we're going to look at the African Union Summit, and definitely we're going to be reacting as we get to do in this segment of the videos. So there's a video that is making rounds on social media where His Excellency Hassan Sheikh Mohamud, the president of Somalia, is really condemning and calling out the Ethiopian president and the government for their ill actions and how they humiliated the other presidents and members of the African Union. So this summit was actually meant to talk about education in Africa and also climate and other issues, but it doesn't seem to be that, because there's a lot of insecurity going on in the region, and it has been a rough close because there's a lot that has been happening in and out of Africa, and it's really affecting the African continent. So one of the words that he said, that nice words from Ethiopia or in Africa will never help the continent. And this is really key, because in the morning when he was going to the conference room, he was blocked. Him and all his motorcades and entourage, they were stopped from going to the conference. And even when they used other means to get to the conference, they were still blocked by some security guards, which was really, really humiliating for a president of an African state in the African Union. You know, it is really unacceptable. I also agree with what the president is saying here. And the reason he's saying that Ethiopia is doing this is basically because they want to annex some parts of Somalia, which Ethiopia is doing against the rules, against the laws that are governing the African Union. And this is not acceptable. And it has never been acceptable, actually, because the Somalian president says that they are willing to give Ethiopia access to the ports in Somalia, just the same way that Uganda gets access to the ports in Kenya, and all the other countries do the same. However, the Ethiopian government seems to want to just own the ports. They want to annex some parts of Somalia specifically for that purpose. And Somalia in this situation is not willing to concede. The Somalia under the presidency of Hassan Sheikh Mohamud is not willing to concede. And actually this issue is causing insecurity more in Somalia, because as he shares in the video you're going to be seeing, he says that the only war that is happening in Somalia is the war between the government and the Al-Shabaab. And the Al-Shabaab is using these incidents as a step up to really recruit more soldiers into their group, because the recruitment had paused for a long while and they were ceasing slowly by slowly. But because of this, what happened in the previous month, they recruited from around 6,000 to 8,000 new recruits, soldiers, just in the names of protecting Somalia against Ethiopia. So this is a real big issue, and we know all that the war in Somalia has been there for quite a while, and it's really dangerous and deadly for our brothers and sisters there in Somalia. So please, let's get together. Let's be praying for this country, and let's really call out all the hypocrisy in Africa and condemn all such behaviors. So let's look into the video and let's see what the president has to say about this.
Bismillah, alhamdulillah, salatu salamu ala rasulillah. The Somali government is truly disappointed today with the Ethiopian government led by Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed, who is trying to justify its illegal actions of infringing upon Somalia's sovereignty, unity, and territorial integrity. Despite our fierce objection and international condemnation, we've said many times that, and I will say it again, Somalia is not ready to consider legal something that is not legal. The MOU, the recent MOU that has been signed by the Ethiopian government with the Somali Regional Authority of Northern Regions of Somalia, Somaliland, is illegal in the international law, and it is a violation of all universally accepted standards and charters of the AU and the United Nations. Ethiopia is misleading the world by claiming that they need an access to the sea. The question is not an access to the sea. The question is how Ethiopia wants an access to the sea. Somalia has said many times, and we again repeat it again, we are ready to provide access, but we want to provide access to our coastal areas by Ethiopia the way Uganda accesses the sea to Kenya and Tanzania, the way Rwanda accesses the sea, the way Burundi and South Sudan accesses the sea, the way the 16 African countries that are landlocked accesses to the sea. Accessing to the sea has internationally accepted standards that are mentioned in many provisions and the world, in the United Nations UNCLOS, in the African Union Charter, in so many other platforms. The accession of the sea, and all those countries who are landlocked and has access to the sea through their neighboring coastal states, they do not pursue an annexation of part of those countries to their country. The MOU that Ethiopia signed with this regional authority is nothing more than an accessing part of Somalia to Ethiopia and changing the borders of Somalia. Somalia has categorically objected that. In another incident that I would like to shed light on is what has happened this morning here in Addis Ababa. This morning when I prepared myself to come and attend the closed session of the summit, the Ethiopian security has blocked my way. They refused me to come out of the hotel and go on with my cars and entourage to come to the sea. It took me a long time to stay there, and at the end I come with another president's cars and entourage. And when we come to the African Union headquarters again, the two presidents of us, the President of the Republic of Djibouti and myself, again we were blocked to enter the African Union headquarters. Soldiers with a gun stood in front of us and denied an access to this facility. This is the behavior that we are seeing. And I heard that it was not me, other heads of states also were there, who have experienced similar behavior. The nice words of Prime Minister Abiy has no significance his actions and the actions of the Ethiopia makes the significant. And the actions of Ethiopia as of today is to annex part of Somalia to Ethiopia and to disrespect the African Union Summit participants, me. So the question is now, how Africa can be seen as an emerging power by being part of the G20 and many other forums when some members of the African Union, of the African continent, are not respecting the very principles that the African Union has established in its founding. Somalia, as a founding member of the African Union, we do not deserve that treatment from the country that hosts the African Union. As I said, I repeat again, nice words will never help Africa as a continent and as an individual country. And seeking an individual hegemony by one country in Africa will not help that country and in Africa, particularly using the nice face of the African continent. Would like to loudly say to our African Union brothers, the behavior of Ethiopia is not an acceptable one, that it's compatible with the 21st century. I thank you.
Wow, 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 wow. Man.
Yes.
This is really amazing to hear. And it's really, really, really disappointing. Ethiopia should be a model country in the African continent. Let's hear some of the questions being asked.
A couple of months ago, we heard from the media that the Prime Minister of Ethiopia, Abiy Ahmed, saying that we will have an access to the sea by peaceful means or by forceful means. And I personally asked him, what do you mean, Mr. Prime Minister, by forceful means? He never gave me an adequate answer. All he said was, no, we are not going to fight, we are not going to war, we are not going to attack or do anything against Somalia. Ethiopia has 5 neighboring coastal states from Sudan, Eritrea, Djibouti, Somalia, Kenya. So they have ample of opportunity to access to the sea. But Ethiopia does not want to access, is not looking for access to the sea. They are looking to annex a territory. How, on what rationale it is in the 21st century that a country goes to local authority and sign with them a territory, they call it the corridor, and sign with a regional authority, naval base, and sign with a regional authority with how this is susceptible in it. The intention, the wording of Ethiopia and the intention of Ethiopia are quite different. I would like to emphasize and say it again and again. Ethiopia wants to annex part of Somalia. This is not the first time. Look, first of all, by doing that, all over the world, the African Union, the IGAD regional country, the United Nations, the Arab League, all of individual countries, all of them denounced the action of Ethiopia as illegitimate and illegal. This is a public, it has been there. We've had an emergency meeting of IGAD in Kampala. The Prime Minister of Ethiopia refused to attend that meeting. So it is there on the record. And we, Somalia, have been, this is not the first time we have a dispute with a neighboring country. We have a dispute with Kenya. We negotiated when we were unable to understand the best civilized manner that the modern states to deal was to go to the International Court of Justice. We went there, and the International Court of Justice made a verdict on our conflict, and we agreed, and it's done. We never fight. Ethiopia has never signed it. Kenya has never signed it, an agreement with a local administration in Somalia. Never tried to infringe the sovereignty and the territorial integrity of Somalia. They claim that this is our territory and this is our territory. It's a borderline. This is not borderline. Going through Ethiopia, going through Somalia, hundreds of kilometers and reaching the sea, and from the sea all the way to Ethiopia. No, nothing tangible is there other than the words that Prime Minister Abiy said. As of now, I'm speaking to you, there are senior military officers in Somaliland preparing the ground for Ethiopia to go in. That's what's going on practically and in action terms inside Somalia. And that's what, and the nice words that the Ethiopian government is saying is that. So actions and the statements of Ethiopia is making, Ethiopia may go, send its forces to Somalia, as it did in the past, but the end has always been very clear. Whenever Ethiopia sends its force forcefully and illegally to Somalia, we know the consequences. And I don't think that Ethiopia was happy with those past consequences and will not be happy with it. This is our country. Even if it takes centuries, we will not concede or we will not accept what Ethiopia is doing. Yes?
Mr. President, you just mentioned what Ethiopian Prime Minister said. Do you expect a war between Ethiopia and Somalia?
No, Somalia has only and only one war, and that war is against Al-Shabaab. Ethiopia, by signing these MOU, it has become an opportunity for Al-Shabaab. Al-Shabaab was in a position where the Somali community was not allowing to recruit new forces. Now, with this, Al-Shabaab has got a platform and a claim that they are going to defend Somalia. They are going to defend the territory of Somalia. And my government, they are blaming that this government cannot defend the territory. That it has been provided. And since the last, since 1st January, when the MOU was signed, we're receiving a very reliable information and reports that Al-Shabaab has recruited 6,000 to 8,000 new recruits in that 1 month.
This is serious, guys.
So this is just taking the focus away from the regional, continental, and the global challenge of terrorism that we are fighting as a Somalia. The African Union is fighting for that. And the African Union was doing that fight with Somalia for the last 16 years. Yes, Ethiopia was part of the African Union, but that does not give them legitimacy to take part of Somalia. So Somalia has only and only one war to fight, and that war is with Al-Shabaab. No other war we have or we are intending to have, unless, unfortunately, we are compelled to do so.
Well, thank you so much for watching, guys. It's really, really intense, and it's getting more intense. And the situation in Somalia is getting heated up because we've heard from the president that there are already senior officers, military officers, preparing the ground for Ethiopian troops to come in and annex Somalia. And we know that it's all going to lead to war. Let's be prepared, guys. And we don't know what's going to happen, but let's pray for the motherland, for Africa, because we don't want such wars to be going on in Africa. Keep it tuned on Wakesho TV. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you feel like you want to comment or share this content, please, you can also subscribe to get more content of this kind. We appreciate your presence here. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.